This is Plug Unplug, Part 2. I'm MT Karthik or MTK. Um, I participated in and then withdrew from high tech for years at a time in various contexts. Over now the past 4 decades, although the last decade I'm like everyone else now in a way in terms of tech. I use what I can quickly fathom for my purposes. But one of the things I've been trying to address as a form of, I don't know, principal criticism is that the quality of this immense leap in personal computing technology, right? Personal computing technology uh, has been overvalued by high tech industry and its corollary, that statement's corollary, that we must now, at least occasionally, unplug from the ever spiraling fantasy projection of ourselves that we have begun in the wake of the digital era. Take pause, reflect, and even reboot our system at a personal and national level. MTK, MT Karthik. We must be more judicious about our ongoing relationship with machines, this interconnectivity that we've invented. To understand this criticism I'm making, because at first it sounds extreme to say that it's been overvalued, right? Consider first how many personal electronic devices existed in our home when the Trash 80, the TRS 80, arrived. There was television, color and black and white sets, 4 channels: ABC, CBS, NBC, PBS, and perhaps a local UHF station. We had VHS recorders by 1985, and most of my classmates were part of a fast-growing cable television market by then, mid-1980s. HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, ESPN, MTV, Discovery, History Channel were all born in the 80s. Games were 2D, but they were catchy. Atari, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong. There were landlines and princess phones and fax machines, and a mobile phone was rumored to exist, appeared in movies. There was audio gear that had evolved to an analog specificity of a high order: preamps, amplifiers, receivers, equalizers, turntables, cassette players, 8-tracks, speakers of a wide variety. There were devices for the kitchen. Microwaves were the latest, but blenders, mixers, grinders, coffee makers, juicers, and toaster ovens had all appeared in the 3 decades after the Second World War. In the garage, we had gas-driven mowers, blowers, and perhaps electric gardening and power tools. Certainly in the 1980s, middle-class USA was the most advanced culture in terms of consumer technology anywhere. Anywhere, except perhaps Japan. Say, if you pick a 1985, except maybe Japan. The personal computer entered the home and went into a totally separate room. It was the computer, it went in a room. In this case, it was my dad's study, where it was dedicated to teaching me about computing, you know. We had to make a relationship, this computer and I, and early on it was pretty brutish. I could write a do loop, you know. It wasn't even as useful as the machine it shared that room with, the typewriter, which my dad was constantly pounding on, or the various little... I used typewriting to publish a small paper. I used A.B. Dick, Mimeos in those days as well. I mean, it was something any teenager could do. Very few did where I lived, but I did. But I remember trying to get that Trash 80 to do things and listening to my dad sitting at the desk over there, and he was pounding out something, important, significant to him. This is before there's printers, I mean, word processing, 85. It's not that big of a deal to a lot of us, but, it's how it was. And how, as a child, I thought how much more important that was, than this thing. It was this clunky thing, And we're at 5 minutes, so I'm going to kill it. This is part 2 of Plug Unplug. I'm MT Karthik.